Letters from over yonder, letters from over yonder, letters from over yonder, from way over yonder.
This is Will Callery, and this is Letters from Over Yonder. You are listening to a pod fashioned over yonder, where the letters came from, entitled The Secret Place and the Pretty Penny. Now, considering our one nation under God today, must we not first consider Jamestown, May 14th, 1607, the Berkeley 100, December 4th, 1619, and Plymouth Rock, December 22nd, 1620. Must we then not pore over what great persecutions, plights, trials, and tribulations they must have endured in their native England, coupled with coming to terms with themselves and the will of God through a sober, soul-searching investigation of their own character, crowned with the prompting of the Spirit that would spur 37 pilgrims to do such a thing as to sail off into the unknown on an unrelenting quest for freedom? Must we not forget to mention the strangers that sailed with them, men of business, soldiers, along with explorers and a few seekers of fortune, 102 altogether, of which only 50 survived the first winter in Plymouth Rock. Still they sought freedom, freedom from the harlot church, freedom from a tyrannical king, freedom from ridiculous taxation and inhuman judgments, such as lashings, beheadings, being drawn and quartered, burned at the stake, and being locked in dungeons. As our ancestry of forebearers might have said back in their day, think nothing of it. Freedom does indeed cost a pretty penny. Bethinking all of the above, must we not then ponder the great transformation that took place on the continent of North America between the signing of the Mayflower Compact in 1620 and the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1775, leading to the establishment of the 13 colonies and the taking root of the very dangerous concept of self-rule? Hazardous? You bet. Because maintaining civility, brotherly love, godliness, justice, judgment, and unity, while keeping tyranny and anarchy at an arm's length under a self-ruled republic, does, if the truth is to be told, cost far more than an arm and a leg. Yes, they knew full well back in 1620 that freedom does indeed cost a pretty penny. Nonetheless, through the thick and the thin of it, for 150 years between the signing of the Mayflower Compact and the signing of the Declaration of Independence, freedom began to flourish. Do the citizens of the United States of America today have even the slightest notion of the price that was paid by our forefathers, their forebearers, and the following generations of patriots in the settling and establishing of the greatest nation on earth? If I might use an old colloquialism, familiar to them back in their day to describe the price they paid, it was indisputably a pretty penny. Now, consider the Revolutionary War, which spanned from April 19th, 1775 to September 3rd, 1783. Can you even imagine the sparse populace of 13 young colonies who, with neither army nor navy, taking on the most powerful nation in the world and staying faithful to the cause for over 8 years, until finally bringing the most powerful nation in the world to their knees in a humiliating defeat? What on earth was their secret? That can be answered with 2 quotes. The first, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. 2 Corinthians 3:17. The second, give me liberty, or give me death. Patrick Henry. Within those 2 quotes are seated both the power and the resolve of the founders of the greatest nation on earth. What is it that gives some men and women the resolve to pay such a pretty penny for freedom, while others, in contrast, drool over ill-gotten gain and tyrannical rule, even if it means casting all honesty, moral integrity, and justice to the dogs? Even if it means having your conscience willingly seared by the hot iron of Diablo? My answer to that would have to be, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. 2 Corinthians 3:17. Now consider these shadowy antagonists who love the dark side of the moon, who forever craving and conniving will kill, steal, and destroy, to rule and reign over others, to satisfy their egos and their lusts. Wars are indeed devised and launched out of the hearts of the deranged. Is it not out of a seared conscience and a deranged heart that flow the deluges of evil? James 4:1, Mark 7:21 through 23. Considering all of this, it is an absolute necessity that we address the liege lord of darkness himself, the Black Swan, that did, in the beginning, when cast out of the throne room of the Father, Ezekiel 28:13 through 15, was hurled like a lightning through the heavens to the earth, Luke 10:18 through 20, only to rise again on an ill wind out of Eden, to bring into the theaters of the ages of men deception, confusion, chaos, violence, bloodlust, along with the most filthy of perversions, greed, wars, and rumors of war, all wrapped up in the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life, neatly packaged in Pandora's pretty little box, erroneously labeled today as the pursuit of happiness, as opposed to the pursuit of God, who just so happens to be the one who has brought the greatest nation on earth victoriously through all of the above to where we are today. How so? Because down through the ages there has always been a bright cloud of witnesses who, through it all, faithfully petition heaven, bringing their strong causes before the Lord. Isaiah 41:21 and 43:13, who throughout their days on earth dwell faithfully in the secret place of the Most High, even if it costs them a pretty penny. Now consider the fact that the Black Swan has once again in these last days appeared in a force rivaling, if not surpassing, that of the days of Noah, to replace the eagle with a dragon, that vultures might devour our great nation and leave us as nothing more than a dropped deuce by the side of the road. Then consider the bright cloud of witnesses, Hebrews 12:1, who throughout the ages have forever been counted by the world as nothing more than a small, ragtag, insignificant remnant of curious people who walk in that strange thing called the Spirit, and live by that silly pie-in-the-sky notion known as faith. And even though they have lived their lives throughout the ages in a present evil world completely overshadowed by the Black Swan, they did and do to this day abide in a realm that cannot be darkened by the shadow of the Black Swan, for the heavens above them continually open up into the throne room of the Father, the secret place of the Most High, the portals of heaven. And though they paid a pretty penny enduring struggles thoroughly unimaginable to today's mollycoddled multitude of derailed descendants, through many trials, tribulations, heartaches, and failures, yet without fail they were always victorious in the end and receiving the blessings of an open heaven, which, in the end, could not be controlled, misconstrued, dampened, dimmed, twisted, or dismantled by the powers of the shadow of the Black Swan. And because they interceded relentlessly, in their great labors of love, prayer, supplication, worship, and thanksgiving, their great strength of righteousness, the Lord himself did always rise up and scatter their enemy. Because of the fruit of their labor today, this entire present evil one world order, like it or not, has just witnessed such a victory in this here United States of America. In what seemed to be but the twinkling of an eye, Almighty God did for a season and a reason for this whole wide present evil world to see, extinguish the fiery arrows of the wicked, break the long bow of the hard steel rule of tyrants, strip asunder the traitors' cloaks of cosenage, shatter their shields, dull their swords, and confound the shadows in the big house and on the hill, that we might bring to task the scallywags and charlatans living high on the hog off of the sweat of the brow of the common working man. Not to mention the thugs, despots, mercenaries, and myrmidons of the evil one who thought they had this nation dead to rights. The Lord, with the whole world watching, has just handed us the wherewithal to quell the coup and save America the beautiful in a time such as this. Esther 4:14. All because the faithful remnant who abides in the secret place of the Most High has been relentlessly bringing their strong causes into the throne room of the Father, crying, "Let God arise and his enemies be scattered. Let those that hate you, O Lord, vanish before us." Psalm 68:1, Isaiah 41:21, and 43:13. And though the Lord not only approves of, but also blesses peace through strength, the strength of a sound, strong, well-organized military, religious culture, a bring-it-on attitude, honky-tonk patriotism, 16th Avenue Christianity, redneck righteousness, bad boy vengeance, and even Western Red Rider justice will not do the job. However, that silly thing called prayer, you know, that thing everyone cries out for when the grim reaper comes a-knocking on their door. Yes, prayer, when rightly applied, will get the job done. For uncontestably so, prayer, when properly applied, is the most powerful weapon on the planet. The entire world has just witnessed this in real time. Whether they acknowledge it as the mighty moving of the hand of God or not is neither here nor there. Why? Because it happened. It happened. It happened. Still, we are at war as never before, though our beloved country has just received a seemingly overnight deliverance out of the damning clutches of the abomination of desolation. We are still smack dab in the midst of the final collision of good and evil. Which brings to mind a song I penned describing the disparaging distress, the quandary, and the gloom our one nation under God suffered under the many thumbs of several of the former dark administrations in which so many seem to be simply biding their time, under the damnation of the abomination of desolation. Nonetheless, there are still shadows in the big house and shadows on the hill that need to be brought into the light, exposed, dealt with, and removed far from us, which is why we had best not forget the secret place of the Most High, and that freedom does indeed cost a pretty penny, which is what this song is all about. It is entitled, "Living on a Government Plantation."
There are shadows in the big house, there are shadows on the hill, scallywags with carpet bags cleaning out the till, shadow boots and charlatans, their best laid plans be damned. When judgment comes a riding down through the promised land. Living on the government plantation, fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Living on the government plantation, they'll all be whistling Dixie till the day that they die. I hear thunder rolling in. There is a storm a brewing among the souls of men. Living on the government plantation, fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Living on the government plantation, they'll all be whistling Dixie till the day that they die. There's a devil in the pulpit with a belfry full of brass. He keeps 'em up there in the dark, working beneath his hat, bewitching of the brethren, look deep into his eyes. What he is, he always was, a father of lies. Living on the government plantation, the fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Living on the government plantation, they'll have you whistling Dixie till the day that you die. Now color don't mean nothing, we all come from one blood. It happened in the garden and it made it through the flood. Right is right and wrong, it ain't what lies between the two. If you take to wearing gray, goodbye red, white, and blue. Living on the government plantation, fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Living on the government plantation, they'll have you whistling Dixie till the day that you die. Living on